We've received a really fascinating set of sources for this deep dive, all centered on a single, powerful, reflective sermon.
Right. It's titled Overcoming Suffering.
And it's not just about getting through hardship. It feels more like, I don't know, a manual for alchemy, turning the heaviest burden into your sharpest tool.
That's a great way to put it. And that's really our mission today. We are unpacking this idea that, true spiritual wisdom sees grace not as just a comfort, but as an engine.
An engine.
An engine that can transform any perceived limitation, a physical problem, lack of resources, anything into a decisive working asset.
Okay, so to do this, we're linking the theology of 2 Corinthians chapter 12 directly to a very practical, real-world case study.
We're looking at a tiny church in eastern Taiwan that's getting ready to tackle a huge staffing crisis for its entire denomination.
And the hook here, the thing that really grabs you from the start, is this paradox the sermon is built on. That God's sufficient grace isn't just there to help us bear suffering.
Yeah.
It's to enable us to transcend it completely, which implies a fundamental shift in how we even approach difficulty.
Absolutely. I mean, when most of us face affliction, the goal is survival, right? Or just escape.
Of course.
This source, it challenges that. It suggests that transcendence means rising so completely above your circumstances, your feelings, that your affliction actually starts working for you.
It becomes instrumental.
It becomes instrumental in achieving some greater positive benefit. It's like, it's not just about surviving the storm, but somehow harnessing its energy.
So let's unpack that core thesis, because it starts with some of the, I think, most challenging words in Scripture. Paul wrote, "I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. For when I am weak, then I am strong."
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you see on a coffee mug, right?
Exactly. But in practice, it's completely counterintuitive. Why would anyone want to boast about their weaknesses?
Well, the source material gives us the crucial answer by defining the mechanics of this. It explains that true grace doesn't get rid of the weakness. It exploits it. The weakness is the open door. By recognizing his own limits, his human fragility, Paul created an immediate, empty space.
An urgent need.
An urgent need exactly for Christ's power to show up. And that reliance, that surrender, that's the key.
So suffering isn't just wasted energy. It's being intentionally funneled into this channel of divine power.
Precisely. And the sermon is very clear on this. The purpose of this directed suffering is profound character building.
Right.
It's designed to shape the believer, to force them to let go of self-reliance and become more molded into the character of the Savior. Paul didn't just gain patience, he gained direct, undeniable proof of power in his daily limited life.
He literally saw his vulnerability converted into spiritual efficacy.
He saw it happen.
This is where we get to a really fascinating linguistic detail in the source material about the translation of that verse.
Yes.
The phrase we often read as "rest upon me" is interpreted in this sermon's deep dive as pitching a tent over it. It introduces this incredible analogy.
And it connects so beautifully to how Paul saw himself. He viewed his body, his life, especially when he was afflicted, as a temporary, fragile tent.
A tent?
A tent, so the power or glory of God arrives. And it doesn't replace the tent, that's his weakness. It lands on the fragile structure, transforming it into a divine tabernacle.
So the temporary and fragile becomes a permanent, functional meeting place.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate renovation.
It is.
But let's pause on that idea of boasting, because when I hear boasting in weakness, it sounds, I don't know, dangerously close to spiritual masochism or just giving up. How does the source distinguish this asset mindset from plain resignation?
That is such a critical question. And no, it's absolutely not about enjoying pain more than health. Resignation says, I am weak, so I stop trying.
Right.
The asset mindset says, I am weak, therefore I have the perfect spot for divine power to land. The boast isn't in the pain itself, it's in the certainty of the transformation that will result.
It's about knowing how to convert that limitation into a useful working asset.
You're converting fragility into an asset. It's an applied knowledge.
Yeah.
A skill set, really.
An application of grace.
Exactly. And this brings us to one of the most profound insights from the source's reflection on prayer. It states pretty unequivocally that the prayer for the transformation of pain is a greater prayer than the petition for its removal.
Wow. Okay, that is a staggering claim. It challenges almost every natural human instinct. Why is the prayer for transformation greater than for removal?
Because the prayer for removal, it just focuses on my immediate comfort, my need to escape. It's trying to bypass the whole character building process.
It sees the affliction as a roadblock.
A roadblock. But the prayer for transformation sees the affliction as raw material. It's a prayer asking for a much more sophisticated outcome. Not escape, but utilization.
Victory, then, isn't the absence of suffering?
No. Victory is the successful conversion of that suffering into a purposeful, productive asset.
Paul asked 3 times for the thorn to be removed. He was denied. But he got a greater victory by turning it into this permanent platform for Christ's power.
The victory was in the conversion. It proved that God's grace was and is truly sufficient.
So we're talking about taking an inherent lack of fragility and, through wisdom and grace, turning it into maximum influence. I wonder if there's an analogy in the source material that helps visualize that.
There is, and it's a fantastic teaching story. The King's Test.
The King's Test, okay.
He wants to find out which of his 3 sons is the wisest heir. So he gives each son the same amount of money and 1 month to fill the massive royal warehouse. Okay, so
the setup is all about volume, bulk, tangible stuff. I can see where the first 2 sons are going with this.
Predictably, the eldest son, he goes for volume and, fluffiness. He buys cotton.
Jerky.
It's big, but it's expensive. And he only manages to fill about half the room before his money runs out. He maximized bulk, but he still failed the test.
And the second son, he probably tried to be a bit more efficient, right?
A little more cost-effective. He bought straw, which was cheaper. He filled 2/3 of the room. A slightly better result, but still a failure.
Because he was still focused on the wrong metric.
Exactly. Physical mass. Things you can touch and weigh and count.
So what about the youngest son? The one who understood influence over inventory.
This is where the wisdom comes in. The youngest son used almost all of his money, not on stuff for the warehouse, but on helping the poor and suffering people outside the palace.
So his first priority was compassion, love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, with the tiny amount of money he had left, the weakness of his remaining budget, he just bought a few small candles.
And when he lit those candles,
the small candlelight did what all the cotton and straw in the world could not.
It filled the entire warehouse with light.
The king chose him because the light, even though it's intangible, you can't weigh it, you can't store it, it was a real, powerful, and total influence.
It demonstrated wisdom, love, and this deep understanding of impact over just physical resources.
It's the perfect picture. The smallest, weakened resource, when leveraged wisely, can have the biggest influence.
And this is where the abstract theology becomes incredibly practical. Let's connect this, the fragile tent becoming a tabernacle, the small candle filling the room, to a specific local reality. Where does this sermon come from?
We're now moving to Beipu Church. It's located in a remote rural part of Hualien in eastern Taiwan.
Yeah.
And by any objective measure, they are small, about 50 members. The pastor sees them as being in a state of institutional weakness, just like Paul's affliction.
They are the fragile tent.
They are, in terms of resources, physical reach, all of it.
But this perceived weakness is driving a huge forward-thinking strategy for their entire denomination, the Presbyterian Church in Taiwan. What's the ticking clock here?
The urgency is, well, it's twofold. First, the pastor himself is in his final 7 years before he has to retire at age 70. He calls this his Joseph preparation for the years of famine.
And second, he's anticipating a much bigger famine.
A massive institutional famine across the entire church. He's looking at a critical clergy shortage.
How critical?
We are talking about an estimated 400 pastors projected to retire within the next decade.
400. For a single denomination, that's staggering.
It's a huge deal. It doesn't just mean empty pulpits. It means a loss of institutional knowledge, the destabilization of rural ministries.
Yeah.
It puts the whole mission at risk.
A crisis like that needs more than a traditional response. It needs light, not bulk. So how is this small 50-person rural church in Hualien, the small candle, addressing a national crisis for 400 churches?
They are strategically leveraging modern technology for what they call gospel globalization and kingdom expansion.
They're converting their physical weakness into a digital asset.
That's it. They're building a massive, accessible digital library of theological training and teaching.
And the numbers, the output, it's just completely disproportionate to the church's size.
The output is honestly astonishing. They've recorded over 6,000 different programs.
6,000.
6,000. This includes turning nearly 1,000 articles written by one of their elders into podcasts, videos, adding subtitles for global reach. I mean, the pastor's own spoken content is over 3,000 or 4,000 programs alone. It requires constant, disciplined work.
So the small church, the fragile tent in a remote rural place, is acting as a digital tabernacle, a teaching hospital for the denomination's entire future.
Precisely. The wisdom of the youngest son is at play. They know they can't physically mass-produce 400 pastors overnight, but they can produce an intangible influence light that can fill that whole warehouse.
And their strategy is focused on what?
2 key areas. First, decentralizing the teaching. Using this digital library to train local believers, elders, deacons, so they can be stabilizing forces in their own regions.
So you're empowering the lay leadership to fill the gaps.
Exactly. And second, just ensuring the gospel message continues to be heard and accessed digitally, even as the physical clergy presence shrinks. The church is burning itself up, like that candle, to produce stable light and warmth for the whole body.
They're using their 7 years not to mourn the coming shortage, but to build an infrastructure to transcend it.
That's the plan.
This has been a really comprehensive deep dive. We started with Paul's internal transformation, the fragile tent becoming a tabernacle, and we've ended with this incredible external application in Taiwan, where the small candle of Beipu Church is creating systemic influence for its entire denomination.
And the final synthesis is clear, I think. The success of both hinges entirely on that one principle, that God's grace is truly sufficient. Sufficient not just to help us survive, but to actively catalyze transformation, to turn our disadvantages into a working, productive advantage.
We've seen that the greater wisdom is in praying for the conversion of our pain and limitations, not just their removal. So for you, the learner, what specific difficulty in your life right now feels like a weakness? Maybe like being a small remote church or facing a personal affliction. What's the thing you could shift your focus on?
And instead of just wishing it away or seeking an escape, how could you try to transform that specific limitation into a working asset, a platform for genuine power and influence? What new light might that very difficult, challenging process reveal in your own life that you haven't seen before? That's really the question of transcendence.
A profound thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive.